T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff.
Live from somewhere deep in the Freedom State of Florida, it's the Let's Be Frank Show with your host, Frank.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of our Freedom Stream on Thursday night. And I know it's 10 p.m. Eastern Time. This used to be an old time slot of mine way back when, a few years ago. But due to inclement weather that I was having in the area where power got knocked out for a little bit of time during the time that we would have been live streaming, which was 7 p.m., instead of canceling it, I decided to go ahead and just push it back to 10 p.m. So didn't want to cancel the Freedom Stream, so we just pushed it back. So I'm glad you guys are joining me. If this is the first time you joining the Freedom Stream at this 10 p.m. Hour, let me know in the stream. Glad to see all of you guys here today. Don't forget, we are live streaming over on Rumble as well. Rumble, hello, all my Rumble people over on Rumble. Great to see all of you guys over there. We have 3 people over there watching, so great. All right. That will hopefully get a little bit larger. Don't forget not too chatty over there. You can chat all you want. It's free to chat. But it's great to see everybody over here tonight. So thank you for being here this evening. Let's go ahead and get down into it tonight. The Democrats are starting to feel a little bit of pressure from the Trump administration, especially with these current leaks that has taken place over the last couple days, especially for Democrats leaking to places like CNN and the New York Times, which they have done always in the past. But this time, it's a little different. This time, President Trump is done and over with this, and he's already Truth Social. I don't know what that's called. What's a Truth Social? Just truthing, I guess. I don't know. He put a Truth Social post out earlier, talking about how it's time to prosecute those who are responsible for the leaks. There's a very small circle of Democrats who would have had that information that was given to them by the Trump administration. My guess, Adam Schiff is in that little circle, and Adam Schiff has a history of leaking things to the press in order to try to damage the Trump administration. And so that's what we have going on here right now. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt yesterday during wasn't a press conference, was asked about this exact thing, and she said, yeah, they need to be in jail. So it seems like the whole administration is at least in the right direction, right? So now it's up to the Pam Bondi of the DOJ and Kash Patel of the FBI to go ahead and get this done, because the FBI right now is investigating the leak, which is coming out of Congress, and specifically Democrats, and more specifically, a very small circle of them who was given that information. And so we will see what happens here. But let's go ahead and take a look at the story. Let's just start it off with what President Trump said on his Truth Social post today. He said they should be prosecuted. Breaking President Trump says Democrats leaked dubious Iran intelligence report to CNN. And here what it says here, President Trump on Thursday afternoon accused the Democrats of leaking the dubious intel assessment report on the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. He truthed out this. He said the Democrats are the ones who leaked the information on the perfect flight to the nuclear sites in Iran. They should be prosecuted. Do not think for a second that Trump has not already been in communication with Kash Patel over the FBI, and of course, Pam Bondi over the DOJ, and given them the green light to go ahead and check into this matter, because these individuals who believe they've been above the law for so long need a little justice. We need a little investigation. We need to bring this light and unveil what has been taking place in the dark halls of Congress by these individuals here in our U.S. Senate and our U.S. House of Representatives. These people have decided that they hate the country more than they love it. And that's what we have going on right now here with what's happening with President Trump and this leak that took place the last few days, which they leaked it to the CNN and the New York Times. Well, Caroline Leavitt actually did respond to the question about it, and we'll go ahead and take a listen to it right now. Let's take a listen.
Today. I know you're looking for this leaker. Is it your belief? I know you said earlier you're not sure if it's on Capitol Hill or at the Pentagon, but is it your belief that it might be in Capitol Hill? And how confident are you that you'll find this leaker?
Well, I'm not personally looking for the leaker. The FBI is looking for the leaker, so you'll have to ask them in the Department of Justice in terms of this investigation. But leaking top secret classified intelligence is a crime, and people need to be held accountable for that crime.
And can I just ask you about how you're going to be limiting intel to Congress? What would you say to lawmakers who say they have oversight privileges, they need this information?
This administration wants to ensure that classified intelligence is not ending up in irresponsible hands, and that people who have the privilege of viewing this top secret classified information are being responsible with it. And unfortunately, clearly, someone who had their hands on this, and it was a very few people, few number of people in our government who saw this report, that person was irresponsible with it, and we need to get to the bottom of it, and we need to strengthen that process to protect our national security and protect the American public. Mary Margaret, go ahead.
Caroline Leavitt is so good at this job. She was made for the press secretary job. She does a really great job of breaking it down and obviously bringing the facts to these reporters who try to get them with the gotcha questions. Even though this one wasn't a gotcha question, it was a very informative answer that she was able to give. It wasn't something like we got from like Jen Psaki, where she would say every single time, "I'll have to circle back to you. I'll have to circle back to you." Right? It was the circle back girl all the time. And then of course, Karine Jean-Pierre wasn't any better. She was the diversity hire one that they had up there for a while. But Caroline Leavitt is right on. She is a very smart woman. She does a great job being the press secretary for President Trump. And of course, laying out once again, giving us the facts that there was only a small number of individuals who were involved with this intel. And they obviously, they know which Democrats had their hands on this. There is no doubt in my mind that they didn't know. They did not know who has it. So it's just a matter of time before they interview these individual Democrats and their staffers, because more than likely, like at Adam Schiff, I'm not saying he did it, but Adam Schiff, for example, probably gave the wink and nod to his staffers to go ahead and leak it to the press. Adam Schiff probably, this is not saying that Adam Schiff did it, but he has a history of leaking that he gave the wink and nod to his staffers to do it. This is something, and they used the same reporter. It's the same reporter that did the Fine hoax, the Fine People hoax of that. The same reporter who did the Suckers and Losers. The same reporter who said that COVID did not come from a lab. The same reporter who there was another one, the Hunter Biden laptop. And that's the same reporter. All five of these things, all five of these bad reports have come from the same reporter. So that reporter obviously is getting information from either individuals within Congress, which this one was, but some of these other ones were information that she received probably from FBI contacts. And so what would be a great idea is if we could actually help start sealing some of these leaks that are happening around these areas, right? And of course, there's only so much you can do to prevent these, but the great way to prevent leaks from happening is actually prosecuting those leakers, right? Prosecuting the people who are sharing the sensitive information that is classified info, which is a crime, right? That would be the right way to do it. That's how once people see that people are being held accountable, people being held accountable for crimes, normally crime starts to drop in those areas. When they see police out, for example, in a bad neighborhood, and they start cracking down on like the crime, whatever that crime might be, that crime soon starts to drop, and other crimes around it starts to drop because there's a presence of law enforcement. There's a presence there of enforcing the law. And so when you start to see, when these elected officials start to see their staffers going to jail, there's going to be a moment of pause to see whether or not it's worth risking being prosecuted and sent to prison. That's what it's coming down to. And President Trump is pretty clear about that. It's time to prosecute, he says. Time to prosecute. There's no more time of this. This is a different President Trump. This isn't the President Trump from 2016, 2017, where he was kind of getting into it and had a lot of people around him that were swamp, deep state, and a lot of people who were trying to hijack the administration, right? This is the President Trump that has been through all of this. This is the President Trump they jailed. This is the President Trump that they took to court multiple different times. This is the President Trump that they shot at once and was unsuccessful in taking him out, and almost shot again with the other assassin that showed up in Mar-a-Lago, right? This is the President Trump that has been through all of these things. And when he says that maybe it's time to prosecute, and he didn't even use the word maybe, I did. He says time to prosecute, then I assure you, he's probably already talked to Pam Bondi of the DOJ. He's probably already talked to Kash and Dan Bongino and said, dude, you guys got to get on this. There has to be some type of blowback. There has to be blowback on this. There has to be some type of justice. There has to be some type of accountability that is going to take place here with these individuals. If not, then what are we doing? What are we going to allow Democrat staffers or Democrat senators or Democrat congressmen to continue to get away with these things who believe that they're above the law? They screeched for years, no one's above the law. No one's above the law, as they went after Trump, as he was a regular citizen, as they went after him for impeachments. Remember the 2 trials he had to be put on? Inciting violence, inciting a mob. He used language that was too fiery. Remember? And there's records of obviously all of them using that same type of language. And so there's a moment now where Trump has to respond. The DOJ has to respond. The FBI has to respond. There has to be something that takes place after this. We right now have a congresswoman right now who is being tried at the moment for assaulting an ICE officer. If you guys remember from last month, right? Where she went in and actively put her hands on an ICE officer, assaulting him. And so right now she's in front of a judge. And so that's what we have. They have to ensure that they're going to utilize every agency and utilize the power of the executive branch to go after these individuals who continue to believe they're above the law and continue to break it. And the list is long. The list is long. But if we're talking about specifically this issue, the list is pretty small. You know who they are. The administration knows who they are. When Trump did that from his phone, he knows exactly who they are. If they read it, they were like, oh, crap. Oh, crap. He might be serious this time. Look what he just did to Iran. Dude was dropping bombs. He's not in a mood to play around. He's trying to get the agenda done for the American people. All right? Trying to solidify peace with 2 nations that absolutely hate each other and trying to stabilize that part of the world. For what? For more economic growth for that region? Why would they not want more economic growth in that region? Right? And you have him right now in the process of trying to get this bill passed in the Senate and the House of Representatives. the bill that has the no tax on overtime, the no tax on tips, no Medicaid for illegals, and there's so many other things that are great inside this bill that has not been passed, and right now it's being held up by an unelected bureaucrat. And the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, isn't doing anything about it. He has the power to tell this bureaucrat, hey, you're fired. You're fired. The Senate parliamentarian is trying to fire her. She was appointed by Harry Reid back in 2012. Why is she still serving in that position? Why has the past majority leaders, such as Mitch McConnell, allowed her to stay on? And now John Thune. You have the power as the Senate Majority Leader to replace that individual, and yet they haven't. And they just sit there and they allow it to stay. Let's take a look at that story, by the way. John Thune is terrible, man. What's up with Texas, man? I thought you guys were great. I thought Texas was awesome. You guys keep electing this fool, man. Maybe it's not all Texans. Maybe it's just the city Texans that continue to elect this guy. But anyway, John Thune, right over here, man. GOP lawmakers, and they're right. There's a lot of lawmakers on Capitol Hill right now calling for her to be terminated or replaced. Even people like Dan Crenshaw, the warmonger Dan Crenshaw, the Dan Crenshaw that absolutely hates anything America, basically, most of the time. That dude's actually calling for her to be replaced. You know, that's how bad it actually is. It's so overtly partisan. They're like, we need to replace her, man. There's too much that this lady's trying to take out of this bill. Let's take a look at this, because I think it's important that you guys may not even know. Maybe now that you guys will know, you guys will tell your friends about it, or maybe your family that don't know about it. GOP lawmakers erupt after unelected Senate parliamentarian cuts key provisions from Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. But Senate Majority Leader Thune refuses to overrule the decision. That dude, man. So the unelected Senate parliamentarian has once again proven that the D.C. swamp is alive and well. Elizabeth McDowell, first appointed by Democrat Swamp King Harry Reid and known for advising Al Gore during the 2000 election debacle, has just gutted a key America First reforms from President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. However, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, oh, you know what? Thune's from South Dakota. You know who I was thinking of? I was thinking of that other guy. What's his name? He's not from Texas. I kept thinking John Thune was from Texas. He's from South Dakota. I was thinking of John Cochran. Is that right? John Cochran of Texas, the other U.S. senator over there. He's a really rhino as well. Anyway, John Thune, dude, South Dakota. Anyway, my bad. My apologies to the Texans. The John guy is terrible though too. The other John dude. So he's flatly refused to overrule her rulings. McDowell's controversial ruling stripped out major reforms Republicans had promised voters, ranging from bans on abortion funding, illegal immigrant benefits, and taxpayer-subsidized sex change operation for minors. She also struck down measures to end silver loading under Obamacare, a policy that has ballooned healthcare premiums and handed more taxpayer cash to insurance companies. While millions of voters support President Trump's legislative agenda, McDowell shredded those promises using the OPEC and unaccountable Byrd rule, a Senate procedure that increasingly being wielded like a sword by unelected bureaucrats and weaponized to dismantle the the conservative agenda. GOP lawmakers did not hold back. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene blasted McDowell in a scorched earth statement. The unelected Senate parliamentarian just ruled against throwing illegal aliens off American taxpayer-funded Medicare and Medicaid, and stopping Medicaid and CHIP from funding sex changes on children. We are trying to undo the America Last insanity from the Democrats by kicking illegals off Medicare and Medicaid and stopping taxpayer subsidies from being used for genital mutilation of children. But the unelected Senate parliamentarian used the bird rule, meaning these Trump agenda priorities that deliver our campaign promises need to be stripped out of the one big beautiful bill. The unelected deep state bureaucrats, radical far left activist judges, and America Last Democrats are doing everything they can to destroy President Trump's and the people's agenda. She's absolutely correct. It didn't stop there. Representative Keith Self wrote, the rogue Senate parliamentarian should be overruled just like activist judges. Dan Crenshaw joined the chorus demanding McDowell's immediate termination. He said it's time to fire the Senate parliamentarian, Elizabeth McDowell. This is not about partisanship. It's about the rule of law. She has failed to apply the rules of the reconciliation accurately on multiple occasions. Leader John Thune should fire her now. There is a precedent for this. Senate parliamentarian was fired in 2001 by then Senate Majority Leader Trent Lott. I don't state this lightly. This is a very serious matter, but the current parliamentarian has shown clear political bias, applying ideology and not the rules of the Senate. There are many examples of this so far, but today was the final red line for me. She struck my provision that stops federal funding on gender transition procedures, claiming it doesn't have budgetary impact and therefore is out of order. The fact is this provision absolutely has a direct budgetary impact. It amends Section 1903 of the Social Security Act, which governs federal payments under Medicaid. So McDowell's claim that it is non-compliant on procedural grounds is absolutely wrong. This is bigger than one provision. It's about the sanctity of the rules and laws we must follow and the importance of the position position of the head parliamentarian, who must be an objective, nonpartisan, who applies the rules with consistency and not ideology, right? And just goes on, just senator, representative, after senator, after representative. So we have what we got going on here. Hey, Rumble, we got somebody over on Rumble. Hey, Mary Am. Great to see you. Thanks for being over on Rumble. So what we have right now is an unelected bureaucrat who is holding the big, beautiful bill hostage by gutting it. And John Thune, the senator from South Dakota, is refusing to even remove her or overrule her and saying that it would set a dangerous precedent. No, sir. You should go ahead and fire her. Get rid of her. Because what you're doing right now is it's going to hurt the American people. You're ensuring that this unelected bureaucrat can ensure that the promises that were made on the campaign to the American people who voted for these promises, for them not to be done. I mean, I don't know how else to look at this outside of it's a intentional sabotage from within the Senate coming from John Thune, who, by the way, is like very good friends with Mitch McConnell. So it kind of stinks of Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell may be behind the scenes and advising John Thune not to replace the parliamentarian. And that would be something Mitch McConnell would absolutely do, especially right now. Mitch McConnell, who has increasingly become an anti-Trump voice and has voted against many of Trump's agenda and nominees, is out there advising the new majority leader, John Thune. And John Thune's a rhino to begin with anyway. He is in that club with people like Mitch McConnell. So it's no surprise to me that John Thune is behaving the way he is and not acting the way he needs to act in this. So there we have it. We have more swamp dwellers trying to sabotage America, trying to sabotage you, the taxpayer, to ensure that their buddies in the left, their buddies over in the Democrat swamp, continue to ensure that taxpayer money will be given to illegal immigrants on Medicaid and Medicare, which something they did not pay into, right? And we have them being able to still fund abortions and fund genital mutilations. All these things that Democrats have ensured that has been happening are going to remain happening if this isn't fixed in the Senate before it's sent back to the House. It's an intentional sabotage, intentional by the rhinos within the uniparty of the Democrats inside the Senate. It's just terrible to see, right? They fought so hard for this bill. They fought so hard to try to get this bill done. And trust me, there's things inside the bill, the spending portions of the bill, I do not agree with. However, I'm willing to give it a fair shot since this is President Trump's first bill coming back in here, to be able to deliver some of these wins to the American people, right? Deliver some of these things that are going to impact everyday Americans throughout the country. Instead, we have these elites within the Democrat and Republican Party who are intentionally sabotaging this thing, hoping it doesn't pass, torpedoing it to make sure that they don't have to do any of this stuff. This is America Last. This is what's going to help institute a bloodbath in the midterm elections, where voters are going to come out and say, man, the Republicans, they get crap done. What have we gotten done as Republicans in the House and Senate in Congress? Nothing. That's what the voters are going to see. The voters are going to see none of the stuff that President Trump has promised on has even been passed in legislation by the House or Senate. It's going to be a bloodbath for Republicans. And I think it's intentional. I truly do think it's intentional. I think it's something they're trying to do in order to tank President Trump in the last 2 years of his presidency, as they did in the first term, where they actively retired, didn't rerun up for election, did everything they could in order to make sure that President Trump was not going to have a full 4 years of support from the House or Senate. It was ridiculous that we had that type of stuff happening the last 2 years because the Republicans gave up, because they sabotaged, because they hate Trump. They hate Trump more than they love the country, right? And I think that's what we're going to see in the midterm elections. I hope I'm wrong. But we're going to have another bloodbath if we cannot secure wins for the American people. And that's what we have going on right now. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see that right now, with the American people not being able to secure some of these wins that were campaign promises that people went out and voted for, right? We voted for removal of illegal aliens in the country. We voted for no tax on tips. We voted for no tax on overtime. Heck, I wanted the IRS done away with. I wanted the FBI done away with, right? More government, the education department done away with, right? There's some wins in there. We got some wins in there, but we got to deliver on these other wins. If not, the House is going to be Democrat, and they're going to go right back to what they were doing right before Trump left. They're going to go right back to impeaching him. They're not even going to waste their time with hearings or whatever. They're going to go straight to impeachment in order to try to slow the process of Trump being able to deliver more wins for the American people. Because signing executive orders are great and all, but they get reversed as soon as the next president comes in. If it's a member of another party, they'll come in, they'll reverse every one of those executive orders. They'll sit there and just reverse them all. And that's the problem, right? In order to make sure we have some of these wins in stone, we got to pass legislation. So we have to use the House and the Senate. And these guys that are rhinos and these guys that hate Trump are doing everything they can in order to try to stop it. Again, so it goes right back to the first point, right? What we were talking about at the beginning. That's why it's important to follow through with accountability for those who are leaking, right? It's important to follow through and arrest the people who are breaking the law. The same people who have been screeching for the last 8 years, 10 years, that no one's above the law. And that's what we need to do. That's what President Trump needs to do with his executive branch right now, because the Republicans, rhino Republicans and Democrats are together, and they're going to try to sabotage the best they can the agenda and hope that they can have a bloodbath in the midterm elections where, President Trump is left with no House and may only have the Senate. and then nothing gets done but impeachments and more pointless speeches from the House and more pointless speeches from the rhinos at that point, claiming that they're going to fight. It's easy to fight when you're in the minority, right? It's easy to fight when there's nothing on, when you don't have to lead. That's why most Republicans much rather be in the minority. That's why most content creators, or I guess news outlets or whatever, like Fox News and the Daily Wire and all these places, they much rather be in the minority. They make more money being a minority. I would rather be winning. I want to be in the majority, leading, out ahead. And I think a lot of new media, a lot of the people that are on these spaces, I think, have the same vision. They don't want to be in the minority. We want to be in the leadership positions, making impacts for the country. I want an effective House of Representatives. I want an effective Senate majority, along with an effective president. And right now, I feel like we only have one of those things. We have one. We have an effective president. And we have a retarded Congress. That's what we have. I don't know how else to describe them outside of that. There's something extremely wrong with them. And that's what they are. That's what they are. Republican, Democrat that are working against the American people. That's seriously, it's a problem. It's a problem. And, you know, I think about the voters. I think about the voters who vote for these people. And I can't help wonder, how do they behave on a normal day-to-day basis? Because I know how I behave in a normal day basis, or my family and friends that I know and people that are like-minded. You know, we are actually normal individuals, like to keep to ourselves most of the time. You know, we do the normal things. We go to church, we go to work, you know, we pay our bills, we, you know, spend time with the family, and we're not about all the other things. And I wonder how the other side lives. And I came across this video, I think, pretty much illustrates the everyday Democrat, the everyday liberal who absolutely hates America. So I'm going to put this video up on the screen for us to look at and watch together and laugh because it's so miserable that people like this exist. But this lady, this lady over here, this is a duck pond, and the ducks are doing duck things. They're reproducing. All right, they're having relations, and she believes that the male duck is assaulting the female duck, and she loses her mind. She may have been just walking by and saw this and just absolutely lost her mind. But this is the state of these individuals. Let's take a listen.
Get away from her! Get away from her! Hey! Get off of her!
Like the duck knows what she's saying. Like the duck knows what she's saying. The duck's like, what are you talking about, lady? Why are you so crazy?
Hey! Stop it! God damn it, get us a net! Is everybody just standing around?
How do you figure more ducks get made?
I know.
I don't know if you heard that. He said, how do you figure ducks get made?
She thinks it's ducks throwing the other duck because it's moving faster.
Hey!
She's just making it more scared.
The California forest. Look, she's, oh no. She's in the water. She jumped into the water. What was she going to do? Was she going to go out there and like go rustle the duck off the female duck? It's so crazy. Who does that? Who jumps into the water to like chase ducks? There's something wrong with these people. They're mentally unstable. These people should not vote ever. If there's something wrong with you mentally like this, you should never vote. You should have zero say in the country. Zero say in the direction the country is heading into, because obviously you don't know how mating even works with animals, right? You have no idea how ducks reproduce, and you're over there scaring them during their mating season, and she jumps into the water. Finish watching this.
Is that illegal? Oh, wow.
She's going to catch ducks.
She's just interfering with life. That's what ducks. I think if the duck goes out there,
She's out there with a net.
I'll figure it out.
She has a net. She's out there with a net. Is she going to try to catch the duck? She's out there with a big old pool net. She's out there with a big old pool net. What is she going to do? She going to try to catch a duck with a net? She ain't going to catch a duck with a net. You're an idiot, woman. That's an idiot. Any of you guys have ever grown up with ducks? We had ducks where we used to live. We had some ducks, and they're pretty tough to catch. The especially these kinds. These types of ducks are pretty hard to catch. They're not like the big white ducks. The big white ducks, they're easier to catch. They can't fly. These guys can fly, and they're fast. Yeah, she's out in there in the water. She's out in the water with a net, trying to catch ducks.
She has to follow. There's no shot she isn't. What?
Oh my gosh. It's probably the funniest thing that I have seen in a long time. It's probably the funniest things I've seen in a long time. A woman actually jumping in there, trying to grab the duck to save the duck, I guess. Trying to save the duck from being mated with. These people are idiots. These people are insane. Oh my gosh. I can't. I don't know what I would have done if I was there. I don't know what I would have done if I was there. Oh my gosh. There's plenty of room for her for an insane asylum for that lady, because that was wild. That was wild. I don't know how else to describe that, because normal people do not do that. That's why I was talking about normal people. Normal people do not do that. They just don't. Well, if you guys are looking for a great vacationing spot, how about North Korea? You guys ever think about going to North Korea for vacation? Well, North Korea has just now finished their beach resort in North Korea. That's right. If you're a Russian or a Chinese citizen, you'll be able to go to North Korea, enjoy their cool water park right there on the lovely beach of North Korea. That's right. Can you imagine like Bob Barker doing in the final, the showdown? Tell her what she's going to win. What she can win? A trip to North Korea. I enjoy the luscious sand and the sea salt air of North Korea. Why you can sit there and pretend not to see the concentration camps of the workers who have been in prison for 3 generations. Don't worry about them as you sip on your mojito in a nice comfort of a resort in North Korea. That's right, North Korea. Maybe I will make this my next destination when I decide to go on vacation. Maybe I'll float this to Sharon. Hey, babe, you want to go to North Korea? I heard they have a cool resort on a beach. It has a water park and all. King Jong-un style. Let's take a listen to this. Look at that nice resort. by the way, this thing was supposed to be finished like 10 years ago. It was supposed to be finished it was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, this was supposed to be finished. Hello, JJ or JJR. Great to see you. It says over on Rumble. Says, wow, Frank is on live. JJR, your first Rumble rant a few months ago. Hey, yeah, man. Thank you so much. I remember that. I appreciate you, man. I love Rumble. Rumble is good. That's why I'm doing live streams over on Rumble. Continuing. And we got 13 people over on Rumble, by the way. 13 people over on Rumble. So, yeah. So check this out. They were supposed to finish this like 6 years ago. So what was that? 2019? They were supposed to finish this. I guess 2020 really put a halt on that. But what do you guys would like to go to this resort? This resort's awesome, man. I don't know. I might be able to talk my wife into going to North Korea. Maybe we could go ahead and visit a couple of the concentration camps while we're there. After we get a little bit of sun on the beach there. Take a look at this. Maybe visit a water park. We can take part in the parade with Kim Jong-un. Awesome. How many years in prison do you think these guys would have to have served if they were not smiling and cheering? This guy looks like he's in pain. This dude right here. He looks like he's in pain. He's like, I'm just cheering so my family stays out of prison. I'm just cheering. I'm clapping so my children stay out of prison. It's sad. It's sad for the North Koreans. Check it out. Do you remember the 2018 Winter Olympics when Kim Jong-un sent his sister? She was like the darling at that Olympics. Everybody was like swooning after her and over her. I remember everyone was like wanting to find out more about her and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to go to this. Maybe tour out of prison. Maybe I can drive by and see them actually doing hard labor. It's like, well, what generation are you in here for? Oh, my great grandfather did not bow down to the picture of Kim Jong-un, the first or whatever, and now we're in prison now for like 3 decades. It's terrible. It's terrible, but that's how that North Korean country is, man. They will only, hey, check it out. Bobby Walter over on Rumble. Got a few people over there on Rumble. I love Rumble. Thanks for joining me guys over there. Awesome. Maybe get a bus tour. Maybe get one of those double deckers while we're over in North Korea. I'm sure you still won't be allowed to take any photos while you're there. They'll make sure they have to take all of your stuff. Oh, check it out. Bobby Walter with the gifted 5 subscriptions over on Rumble. Thanks a lot. It looks like Mary Ann was gifted a subscription or membership, and so was JJR. Congratulations, guys. Thank you, Bobby Walter. That was very generous of you doing the 5 gifted subscriptions over on Rumble. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's sweetness over on Rumble. That's awesome. Good stuff over there, man. Good stuff. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if I would visit. It does look like a nice beach, though. I'm not gonna lie. The resort looks pretty good. I don't know if would have to pay tribute to their past presidents or whatever, but the views look actually pretty nice. I mean, if we go back here, yeah, right there, yeah, that's a nice looking resort, though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, looks a little good there. Nice little resort. May not be visiting it anytime soon. Let's see. It says here, North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un to open a beach resort this summer to boost terrorism. The resort is a 2.5-mile stretch of beach and can host 20,000 visitors. It was completed 6 years after the target date. The resort is on the east coast of North Korea and features hotels, restaurants, shopping malls, along with a water park. Wonsan Kamala is near where Kim grew up and is where the North Korean elite have their private villas. The resort will likely be open to North Koreans initially and then eventually to the Chinese and Russian tourists. It is unclear if North Korea will ever open it to the rest of the world. I don't know. He might not be opening it to the rest of the world, but that beachfront looked really good. I'm not gonna lie, that beachfront did look good. But I guess you could do a lot with slave labor. So there's that as well. There is that as well. Could do plenty with slave labor, right? What'd I do? There we go. Hit the wrong button. So yeah, that is something else. That is something else over there on North Korea. But that's not all that's going on, right? We got a couple other stories here. Had that wacky story. Speaking of Iran and the Israel stuff and how President Trump wanted to make sure we distance ourselves from that and actually pursue peace. Well, it looks like warmonger Lindsey Graham is back at it, still pushing for regime change in Iran. This guy has never seen a war that he does not like. This guy pushes for war. This guy has nothing to lose. He has no skin in the game. But of course, I'm sure he has some stock in some of those military weapon grade factories that produces weapons. So I'm sure that's why he's pushing for it. And his donors absolutely want him to do it as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at this thing from Lindsey Graham. Only a couple seconds here.
Here's where we're at. The program was obliterated at those 3 sites, but they still have ambitions. I don't know where the 900 pounds of highly-enriched uranium exists, but it wasn't part of the target set.
Are you concerned that in light of that several years, when the administration is saying this is obliterated, it suggests that they're not able to build a weapon. You're saying in several years, perhaps they'll be able to.
That's what I'm saying. They're obliterated today, but you can reconstitute them.
He so badly wants to go to war. He so badly wants to sit there and drag us into another Middle East war. This guy is terrible, man. I cannot stand Lindsey Graham. I have no idea. I really don't. I've tried to think about it, and I still don't understand the reason why President Trump endorses this guy all the time. Lindsey Graham's terrible. He's like the rhino of rhinos, and Trump likes him. Trump likes him for some reason. Maybe because Trump thinks he can work with Graham and get things passed through if he gives a little bit to Graham. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like a give and take situation with him, and he knows he's a reliable vote if he needs that vote. So regardless, though, Lindsey Graham is probably one of the worst senators we have. And of course, part of that warmongering gang, right? Him and Mark Levin. Mark Levin's terrible when it comes to war hawking, man. He's a big war hawk. Absolutely wants war all the time. Wants us to be involved in these regime changes and things like that. We don't need to be part of any of that. That guy's a loser, man, when it comes to this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's Lindsey Graham. Don't move your eye from Lindsey Graham. These guys are still trying to get President Trump to go ahead and do something more in Iran. They want this guy. This guy wants war. He wants it, man. He wants it more than anybody. Oh, man. Terrible guy. Terrible guy. I'd be so glad if we could actually primary him and get an actual America First candidate to run in South Carolina. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to have a actual America First people? Our red state senators are some of the worst senators that we have. And I don't know why, because they don't not reflect the people of the state that they're elected in. A lot of these states are not like these guys. And yet somehow they continue to win election after election. And I don't know how they do it. Do not know how the people of these states continue to send these war hawks and these people that are just terrible at being a senator to represent America. Their interest is always lies in foreign. Him and John McCain used to take field trips all the time to the Middle East and to like Ukraine and stuff like that to help encourage color revolutions and all kinds of stuff, man. They were butt buddies when it came to warring, man. They were terrible. They were some of the most terrible duo that we had in the Senate. Him and McCain, man. They were literally butt buddies. Literally butt buddies. I don't even care what anybody says. They were butt buddies, man. They did whatever it took in order to try to stoke revolution in these countries or stoke some type of uprising within those countries. So, funding like ISIS and funding rebels like that all the time in order to take down these countries. Just their establishment swamp for a reason. Absolutely. That's what they are. Jason says, I'm in South Carolina. I don't know why we keep getting Graham. That the black senator is better. Tim Scott. Yeah, he's slightly better. I wouldn't say by much, but he is slightly better. But I agree with you, Jason. I agree with you. I don't know how you guys end up with these guys either. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on with the people of South Carolina. It must be something in the water because I cannot figure out why they would be doing that. JJ says there was an OANN segment with John M. Stubbins, independent journalist, says that Adam Schiff and wife is being investigated for multiple fraud. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's more than just that too. That guy, Adam Schiff, man, he is one of the worst people. I don't know. These guys. Kamala Harris thinking about running for governor of California now too. And we just have all of these terrible people that we'd love to get rid of. Never to see again. What about that New York thing, man? What do you guys think about that? We got New York just elected their Democrat contender for the mayorship of New York City. And they elect the one dude. He's a Muslim. And he's a far left socialist, right? That's probably the scariest part of him. He's a far left socialist. He beat Andrew Cuomo, which wasn't any better, right? I mean, you have Andrew Cuomo, who was the governor of New York during COVID, and if you recall, Andrew Cuomo was responsible for tens of thousands of deaths of nursing homes. Do you guys remember that? I mean, so you have a mass murderer, right? You have a mass murderer running for mayorship of New York City, Andrew Cuomo. And then you have this extreme socialist running for mayor of New York on the Democrat ticket. And then you still have Eric Adams, who I believe is running as an independent. And so anyway, I guess this far left socialist over here wins the nomination. So it's going to be between him, Eric Adams, who is a independent in this next race, and Curtis Swan, I think his name is, that's running on the Republican ticket. He was like the founder of the Guardian Angels, I think, or he was a Guardian Angel. In either case, I mean, I guess Eric Adams is the best choice, I guess, or at least has the best chance of winning. But even so, man, New York City, they just absolutely just want to be the worst city. I think they're actively pursuing to become the worst city in the country for these people that they continue to elect. This guy, this far left socialist, wants to have government-owned grocery stores. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work very well. He wants to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour. And I agree. I think rent's way too high in New York City. However, there has to be a better way about going about it. They're talking about rent freezing. I think it was part of his platform as well. New York is just very expensive to live in. Very expensive to live in. I don't live in New York City, obviously. But I know people that do, and they talk about how expensive it is to live there. Yeah. Yeah, JJR said, yeah, Como didn't use the hospital ships that Trump provided. No, they didn't. They remained empty. So I think that New York City's just going to have to learn a lesson. I don't want them to have a terrible leadership. I don't want any American city to be terrible, right? I don't want any American city to not be safe in or anything like that, right? I love America. I love this country. I want our cities to be great. I want our cities to thrive. I want our cities to have low crime, right? However, there's people that don't believe that. And unfortunately, I think it's going to take poor leadership to maybe hopefully change the minds of people. And I don't want people fleeing from New York City. Those people who unfortunately are in there, there's only one way you got to change it. You have to change it from within. By fleeing the city, you are ultimately giving up the city to the far left socialist. And I know that sucks, right? Because ultimately what will happen is the far left socialists won't be able to live there anymore, and they will try to flee to neighboring states. They'll try to go to places like North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio. They'll try to go Pennsylvania. They'll try to go into these other areas and ensure that those areas will start voting those same policies. Oh, JJR says Curtis Sliwa. He is also a radio host. I have 2 episodes of him filling in for Bo Snerdley, Rush Limbaugh's call screener. Oh, cool. I did not know that. I haven't heard. I don't think I've listened to Snerdley before as fill-in for Rush. Well, and especially after that anyway. But yeah. But he's right. Yeah. JJ is right here. Zoan, Democrat candidate mayor, wants government-owned grocery stores. That's the worst. It is. I work at a grocery store, by the way. Full disclosure, I work at a grocery store part-time. And the profit margin is very, very narrow. I mean, these grocery stores aren't actively trying to raise, but they got to pay employees. They got to pay transportation. They got to pay fuel costs. They got to pay so much overhead, right? And then the profit margin is very thin. And so what he wants to ultimately do is make these grocery stores out of government. Yeah. Yeah, I'll check out your channel for sure, JJ. I'll check it out. Is it over on Rumble? Is your channel on Rumble? Let's take a look here. I'll give you a follow. There we go. I'm following you now over on Rumble, by the way. So, and while I'm at it, here you go. I'll do you a solid, man. JJ, I will do you a solid. I will go ahead and put your link right here in the chat. So if you guys want to go check out his channel, go check it out. There's the Rumble link for his channel for JJ. So go check it out. I will do him a solid here and give him a good shout out. So go check out his channel, his Rumble channel. If you guys like Rumble, go check it out. The link is there in the chat. So you guys can go over there, click it, and go follow him over there. So cool stuff, man. Well, next Freedom Stream will be Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, barring any weather disturbances. I think we should be good for Saturday at 7 p.m. On the second half of the show on Saturday, I will have Katie Zed joining me to talk about the Carmelo Anthony case and the P. Diddy case. We're going to talk about both of those on the second half of that show on Saturday night. So please tune in, come out, hang out with me Saturday night. I love Saturday night Freedom Streams. You guys were great tonight. Thank you guys so much for tonight's Freedom Stream. I absolutely enjoy you guys. We have how many over on? I think we peaked out at, 14, 15 over on Rumble tonight. So that was great. That's great. Just, again, the key to anything is consistency and just getting back into all of this. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to Bobby Walter for doing the subscriptions over on Rumble. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. And we'll be back Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern for another live stream next week. Starting next week on Monday, 11 a.m. on Mondays, I will start doing a lunch show, I guess, a lunch show on Mondays. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m., I will do a lunch show. We will do topics. We'll cover anything that's happening in the news. If there's a hearing or whatever, we'll tune into it. So it'll be a good time for all of us to get together in the afternoon, maybe lunch breaks or whatever. So check me out on that time. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday starting next week. That's 7 p.m. Eastern time. JJ, Eastern time. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, we will be doing live streams. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, we'll do the Freedom streams. So that's what we got going on. Check out my other channel, Uniquely Us. I do Bible studies. If you guys enjoy Bible studies, I've been doing them over on Rumble on the Let's Be Frank channel. They'll stay there on Let's Be Frank on Rumble channel. But over here on YouTube, I do them over on Uniquely Us. Check it out. There's a link in the description down below if you want to go check that out. I do Bible studies Monday through Fridays over on that channel. So check that out. We like to dive into Scripture and read God's Word and talk about it and do our best to understand it best we can. All right. So anyhow, we will see you guys on Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I will see you guys then. I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. God bless. See you guys soon. Get the outro.